So I've always said that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Just because you can't see something or feel something, it doesn't mean that you don't have a problem. Looks like I've got some pretty cool looking glare going on here. So let's take these off. Prenuvo is at the forefront of a new technology, or I should say use of an old technology that is making leaps and bounds in this area. They are at the forefront. They're one of the first and growing, with currently 5 locations in the US and Canada and more opening soon. The location that I recently had the opportunity and pleasure and blessing to go to is in Los Angeles, California. Now previously, full body pre-cancer screenings were done with a CT scan, which uses hundreds if not thousands of x-rays over your entire body to check for abnormalities and cancers, which it does, but at the cost and possibility and more probability of causing cancer. It is all, after all, radiation. As an example, a single chest x-ray versus a chest CT scan is 70 times the radiation of just a single x-ray. There is a time and place for CT scans, but as a preventative measure, this is not one of them. MRIs use no radiation. Enter Prenuvo. The story goes that the founder of Prenuvo had a very close friend that died suddenly of an undiagnosed cancer that showed no signs or symptoms. Now, how often have you heard or even experienced this yourself with family members, friends, whoever? So the founder decided to start Prenuvo as a way to detect early and or unknown cancers. So in about 45 to 55 minutes, you can get a full body MRI scan using 1.5 Teslas from head to toe. The Teslas are the strength or the detailed part of the MRI. Now, functional medicine is all about function, or lack thereof, and what can we do to improve function so that your symptoms, signs, problems, concerns, whatever go away. But sometimes things function fine, even if there is a problem with form. For example, if you have an unbalanced tire on your car, sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't. You need to look at it to see if you can see a problem, but sometimes you need to throw it on the balancing machine and see where is it. The beauty of the body is that it has an amazing ability to compensate like crazy until it doesn't. One of the most common initial symptoms of a heart attack is death. It doesn't necessarily mean you didn't have a problem, it just means you didn't see or feel the problem until it's too late. So for me, getting a Prenuvo full body scan is a perfect complement to what I do. It's 2 sides of the same coin. It's the yin to my yang, a hug to a kiss, your Marge to a Homer, Cheech to a Chong. You get it, they go together. You need to check function and you need to check form. They can scan and screen for over 500 different cancers, arthritis, disc herniations, hemangiomas, and tons of other abnormalities that would otherwise you would not find until it's possibly too late. And depending on which scan you get, it literally goes from head to toe, depending on your height. If you're on the taller side, like me, I'm 6 foot, so not super tall, but it'll cut off about my elbows and then cut off just above my ankles. But really, those areas are not that important. And if you do have an issue there, you should probably get a dedicated MRI to that area. And speaking with the radiologist of my reported findings, great job by the way, Sean, he reported that about 1 in 50 people will find some sort of aneurysm, which isn't always life-threatening. It's many times more about monitoring and keeping track of things to make sure that they are stable and that they don't progress, which is what we do also. I generally recommend, and for myself, I get my labs done every 6 months, to some of my patients once a year to every 6 months, depending on their overall health and their goals. He also stated that about 1 in 20 will find a significant finding that needs to be followed up with your primary care doctor. Now, I think of an aneurysm as significant finding, but like I said, if it's not progressing, it's generally not a problem. So the 1 in 20 really kind of floored me. That's much higher than what I thought it would be. But then I thought of my own reported findings with my patients. And I would say that actually about 75% of the time, we actually find issues with patients' labs that they had no idea about. So 1 in 20 is actually not too bad, but it is a lot higher than expected. And it is something to be preventative about. Now, let me tell you, everything about Prenuvo is a white glove, red carpet experience. From the building, the furnishings, the customer service, the little personal waiting room that you get before your MRI, to the comfort of the machine and being able to watch TV while you get it done, all the way to the reported findings and experience. Now, I will be honest, my experience may have been a little bit more white glove than most, given that I do practice functional medicine, and my intention of doing this scan was not only for myself, but also for the purposes of referring patients. So they may have gone above and beyond, such as my reported findings. But my wife also went, which we paid for, and we did have another friend that went, which she paid for as well, and they were both very impressed. So the way that it works is that you go get the scan. The scan then goes to the radiologist, who reads the scan and generates a report. That report is then given to a nurse practitioner who you have an appointment with to go over all the results and explain everything and answer any questions that you have. You will then also get an email to a link with all of your imagings, findings, and explanations, and they have a very cool little app, which I'll put up on the screen, that walks you through all your findings, how you can click on all the different things, and it expands things and tells you all about it. I was very, very impressed with the level of thoroughness of their app that they've put together. They may even offer suggestions, which is not to be construed as treatment. They will generally recommend follow up with your primary care physician. So in general, they do recommend getting a scan about every 2 years, unless there's some sort of abnormality that is recommended to follow up with sooner rather than later. Now, I, for one, will be going every 2 years, as will my wife. Again, I am a firm believer of an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Now, for those VIP patients, which, yes, I'm VIP. Like I said, I got the white glove experience. You can upgrade your scan report of findings to actually have an appointment with the radiologists themselves. Now, let me warn you, this is not a cheap upgrade. I don't know the exact price, but I want to say it's around $1,500, so you'll have to check with them. Now, as a practitioner, I think they are well to do this with all of their referring doctors. It gives you a greater understanding of what's going on, what's being looked at, and what can be found. My radiologist, Sean, spent about 1.5 hours with me going over everything in very great detail. It was pretty cool. But I also knew what he was talking about, and I am fascinated with the technology that they use and also the images themselves. Having dissected a body in school, seeing things in slices was really a neat way and perspective of me seeing things. So if you're the type of person that, number one, can afford it, number two, you like to geek out on medical stuff, and number three, you want a more detailed in-person / Zoom explanation, I highly recommend upgrading to the radiologist reported findings. But for the average Joe or Jane, it's probably overkill. Prenuvo has a very good way of breaking it down, making it simple, giving your reported findings, and then having access to the report to where it's going to give you all the information that you need. You don't need the more detailed reported findings. So there's quite a few different scans that you can do. Actually, let me take that back. There's 3 different scans that you can do. They're from the least to most expensive. There's a torso scan, right, from here to here. There's a head and torso scan, and then there's a whole body scan. You can see the prices here. For our patients, we are able to offer a slight discount when scheduled through our office, and it works out to save you about $200 on the whole body scan. So which scan should you get? Well, at the very least, I would recommend the head and torso. You can get away with the torso, but there's a lot of things in the head that, you really want to see. Now, personally, what I would do is get the whole body scan. Get the full kit and caboodle, right? That's the overall view. Then from there, you have an idea if there are any problem areas that need to be followed up more closely. Then maybe the next time you go in a couple of years, you can decide which one to do. So remember, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Without your health, all the money in the world is not worth anything. So get a functional medicine blood workup at least once per year and get a Prenuvo MRI scan every 2 years. It costs a whole lot more to be sick than it does to be healthy. I'm Dr. Craig Mortensen, Be healthy, be happy.